Hi, welcome to my next video. This time I wanted to show you something a little bit more simple. I wanted to do a simple watercolor sketch based on a street we saw on a trip we went with Kana recently. This will be a sketch done only with watercolors and pencils. The only thing I'm using here that's kind of special is that I'm scanning the pencil lines before painting with watercolors to make them more black and visible in Photoshop later. The first step was doing a really rough sketch with pencils, just to figure out the perspective and what I want to put in the picture. I based this sketch on some photos we took in Kanazawa, but actually I wanted to do just a variation on a theme, so I didn't paint exactly what I saw in the pictures. And I'm painting this in my small sketchbook that I sometimes go with painting outside, but it contains the same 300 grams Waterford Saunders HOLBEIN watercolor paper that I use for most of my illustrations recently. This is a really good cold pressed paper which offers good quality for the price. And it also works really well with various pencils and pens and ink pens and even technical pens, so I use it for a lot of my projects. I'm sketching this based on the things that we saw in Kanazawa and Kaga-shi. And we went there with Kana to see the old city that is still there, and there are old buildings still in use. And there are parts of the Kanazawa city that remind me of the old town in Kyoto. So you have those small tea shops and winding roads, and everything is really compact and easy to get lost in. But also there are the remnants of the samurai city, so you have those wide roads, cobbled streets, with huge mansions surrounded by walls. Most of the places are nicely preserved, and you can actually go inside of some of the mansions and shops and see inside of them. We also went to Kaga-shi, which is near Kanazawa and has a small city which was flourishing because of hot springs and a port. And because of this, there are still streets with old buildings, and some of them are museums, so you can also see inside of them. I wanted to do a sketch that is kind of based on all of those places and is an amalgam, a city that I would like to see now flourishing and being lived in. So I imagined a street that is wide and full of sun, but also has a lot of trees that give nice shadow. It has water flowing on the left side and lots of small bridges that go along it. It also has a lot of interesting buildings, and some of them are facing the street and some of them are surrounded by a garden and walls that I saw in the samurai district. I really would like to see those kind of streets being built and used right now, instead of the family house districts that I see being built around Japan that are just catalog houses, copy and paste, each of them the same, being made by a company like Panasonic, and you can just get lost in those kind of places because each of those houses are the same and they have no individual character. This is one of the themes that was also picked up by Hayao Miyazaki in his book Mushime to Anime, where in a form of a short comic he tells us about the city he would like to see built, which would follow the Japanese architecture spirit that he remembers from when he was young. And this city would be built not only for the purpose of building cheap houses that look exactly the same, but to make a place that is beautiful and easy to live and good for the spirit of the people that live in it. After seeing a lot of old traditional Japanese houses and mansions and shops, I can kind of feel the thought that was put in each of them, not only to make them a good place to live and work for the people that were going to use them, but also to make them original and kind of beautiful and a work of art in a way. And I know that it's kind of impossible, but I would like to feel the same kind of warmth and thoughtfulness put in buildings that are being made right now also. And thus this kind of sketch picturing a street that I would like to see during my everyday walks. I colored this sketch using my standard Schmincke 48 color set, and the brushes that Hayao Miyazaki uses and recommends in his watercolor set being sold in Studio Ghibli Museum. Here you can see my table and how I usually work with my watercolors. I have my huge watercolor set in front of me. On the left side I have a second set that has some colors that I don't use so often, or colors made by other makers that I use for special effects like granulating effects. On my right side I have my water tank and a palette for paint mixing, also a cloth and scrap watercolor paper to test the colors. Additionally, a lot of jars with all my pencils and pens and stuff I use for everyday work. And finally, an electric pencil sharpener, which I greatly recommend for everyone that use pencils in their everyday work. You might have noticed that this video is a little bit different than the videos I made so far, and this is because it was made using a Panasonic G7 camera that I bought thanks to your generous support on Patreon. I'm still getting used to it, but I hope it will be a great tool for making better videos from now on. Okay, so this is the finished picture. You can see it better on my blog. As always, feel free to comment, share and subscribe. You can also support me on Patreon, and also you can support Scott Buckley that makes the music I use in a lot of my videos on Patreon too. So go check his page also. See you in the next video. Bye!